Hey, this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Monday, October the 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And it was an interesting day. We had this little spike up in the overnight, and then we corrected up until shortly after the open. I don't know about you guys, but I know there were at least a couple of you that have the same data provider as me, which is CQG, that there were some login problems this morning, and so I wasn't able to get on until when I got on, we were right in this kind of trading range right here. So it was I didn't have a chance. I missed some of these trades, and but anyway, we'll go over each one of them. But I wanted to show you we had this first leg up, and then we had this correction. And then we were looking for a target of right about here, and you can see right about where we got to. We got just a tad higher than that, and we actually came up short. We should have been looking to get in there right in this window right in here, usually somewhere from there right through here. And so we came up short, tried to sell off, but all we did was, this turned out to be a channel, it looks like here. This was the trend line I saw. And if you copy that and carry it up, you can see that's where we turned off the highs as well. So, but let's go talk about the trades. But that should have been your target you were looking for today, possibly. Actually, this should have been red. And I'll explain all those, but let's just get this out of the way. But like I said, we opened, the market opened in here somewhere. I didn't mark anything until right here. This was the first real break of this little trend channel we had working down through here. This is some overlap. This is a trend. You can see the overlap in here. So this is just a little congestion. We do have two legs down. You can see there's leg one, and then there's leg two, a perfect measured move, and then we tried to correct, and usually what will happen is you'll retest the lows and make a new low and then reverse out of there. So we got a break of the trend line, we got a break out of this little congestion, then we had a nice move down, and notice this doji right here at the top of this really bullish looking bar. It's a double top here, perfect double top. We came back and tested that again and then turned down. So you could have gone short here, or once it ticked lower, you could have dropped a limit order in here, and you can see even on this bar it came back a tick or so into it, and then it looked like it was going to reverse momentarily before it sold on off. So this turned out to be a good trade, and I got here, I believe I got here just in time to take that trade. Turned out to be a good trade. And then we were off down to the lows, and then there was actually a long right here, but I didn't like this one as much because I was afraid we might get two measured legs down. But this turned out to be, when we came back down and tested those lows again and turned back up, that was the place to go long. Nice easy scalp, but no runners there because they quickly came back and tested this area one more time. And I wanted to go along there, but this ended as a doji. Then the next one had some stems, so it was better to wait. And if you did, you saw this little trap. And if you saw this trap, but you should have seen this trend line by now. And we came right off of it again and turned up. And so going along right there was a great entry on a short trap after a failed break lower and a higher high and a higher low now. That's a nice sign, and you got to be thinking we're at least coming back up to test these highs, and we did stall right there momentarily, but the market was just too strong. So then you got to be thinking these highs, and I actually shorted this right here, and I didn't mark it because I don't like this setup. It is a failed break higher here, but we didn't have a measured leg. This is pretty strong, but we're way overdue for a correction, and we had these two overlapping bars. This one's really a doji, so what I did was I just dropped my limit order right there. It ticked up and ticked me into the market and turned straight down, and once you got it moving, you got to be figuring you're at least coming back to test this, but you're probably coming back to test the EMA, and that's exactly what we did. Somebody sent me a note where they went long right here. This is not a good setup because there's no sign of bullishness yet, and even though this is a really strong market, that's a pretty good sell-off, and it really made a little lower low than that right there. So you need to wait on a second entry, which didn't come till right here, and notice that it ticked lower first, tried to go higher, and then it turned down again. So we really tested this area twice, and so going long right there was a fairly decent trade if you didn't get shook out on this little doji that came up next, because it rocketed up, and by this time you should have tried your trend line on the top side, and if nothing else you should have just drawn it off those two swings right there just in case. And we broke higher, turned down, but we don't have any reversal pattern yet. You know, generally you want it a reversal pattern, but now look what happens. You come up here and you got these three matching highs, which was a great place to go short, by the way, but definitely after it ticked up and turned down, you could have gone short right there. And I really meant to have this one in green. I think that's why because this is a counter trend trade. But what you got to do is you got to wait until you've got an overshoot or a break of the trend line and then a move to a new high or whatever. But this is an overshoot right here. You can see that we overshot it, then we came back and overshot it again, and then we got a trap with that one tick higher than those three bars. And let me show you that. You see, that's those highs. We ticked one tick higher and failed, and so now we got a reversal pattern with the trap up here after a failed break higher above this trend channel line. So now it's a little safer to go short, although I don't recommend it. But when we got this lower low here, notice how this low is lower than that one, and it's also lower than that one. And then we came back, pulled back, and made a double top. And you got to be thinking we're got to come back and try to test this. So this was a pretty good entry right here, especially when it tried to go higher and ticked above that little doji right there. You can see that it ticked higher first, and then it turned. And actually it closed up here, but then immediately turned down. And that's the first real break of that trend line. It's the first close above it. So I went short right there, one tick below this green bar. And you could have actually dropped a limit order in there, but I was afraid it was going to shoot on down and I was going to miss it. And so I was being a little greedy, or I could have probably got an extra tick or two out of this. And then what happens, it drops straight down here to where you think, and it retests this breakout area, and look, it holds. Then you get a little doji down here, and it overshot. If you drew this trend line and drug it down, fits perfect. We overshot that, so now we got to overshoot. And so this is a good place to go long, thinking that prices are at least coming back up to this EMA and maybe trend line, and that's kind of where we got. You probably didn't get a runner out of this one. I tried to buy this one with a limit order right here, but it never pulled back, and sometimes you don't get those, but that would have been a great setup, and you could have probably gotten long at the very low, but it never triggered. So you had to get in here instead of down here, but it worked out all the same. The only difference is you didn't get a runner out of this because it did pull back and take out the break-even runners and then went higher. And then there's one more chance to get long right here. This was kind of congestion by the time this finished, but this is a breakout pullback long. We broke out of this area again, pulled back, and it's getting close to 230, but this was still, you got to be figuring now we're probably coming to test the highs. We still haven't met our target, which was just slightly higher here. I think it was right in here somewhere. So now we're going to test the highs, and sure enough, that's exactly where we go. So, but that's pretty much it for today. It was a fairly basic day today. We did go into a lot of chop, really from say 11:30 to about 1:30. There was just nothing happening. I mean, that's a really boring tight range. But this is a second entry short, a breakout pullback short, a double top on a lower high from a reversal pattern, and so it had everything you needed. And then too, going long down here, you had this, you know, we had one leg down and you had your second leg down. You can see we way overshot that. So you actually probably could have put your limit order right here below that bar. Let me get this out of the way, because that is a doji, but you notice we hadn't quite got the EMA yet, or no, I'm sorry, not the EMA, but the trend line. So it actually wasn't a bad trade to drop a limit order right there, and you got your stop right below this low right here, and it would have went maybe 1-2 ticks against you, and then it never looked back. And then yeah, your break even stop would have still gotten caught right there. So still didn't help you on your runners, but anyway, nice easy trade, kind you like to look for. But that's pretty much it for today. And some of my last couple lessons have got kind of long, so I'm gonna probably try to wrap this one up. It's a really nice day around here. My kids are out of school today, so I'm probably gonna leave early and go spend some time with my family. Hope you do the same. Hope you had a good trading day. If not, hopefully you have a better one tomorrow. And but I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.